Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. And it is actually beautiful today. It is late end of January and is 77 degrees and sunny. And of course, to my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where it is not quite as beautiful, but it's always good to see his beautiful face. Lee Elias, how's it going, buddy?
I don't know if I jump on the face thing or the weather thing.
I gave you a few softballs you can jump on. So
Well,
it's all you.
I'll tell you this. I went to Lake Placid last weekend, and it started to freeze overnight. I drove during the night, and when I got to the hotel, my children experienced the smell of burnt rubber for the first time as I slowly but successfully got up an icy hill to the hotel. Where they understood what real cold is. But Ray, before we get started today, it's time for today's non-sponsor of the show.
Non-sponsor.
It's you gotta love our non-sponsors. They have no idea that we do this. Yes. And all the people who listen to the show love it because then they learn about a brand that doesn't pay us. Today's non-sponsor of the show, one of my favorite brands ever. It's a brand that if you're in the Philadelphia area, you grow up with this brand. But if you're not from Philadelphia, you can appreciate what they provide. Today's non-sponsor is Wawa. Now, for those of you who don't know what Wawa is,
we've talked about them on the show frequently, actually.
Well, it's because I eat these pretzels all the time, but they've never been the official non-sponsor of an episode.
Yes.
Now, what you're looking at if you're watching this is a double pretzel. This is a Philadelphia soft pretzel. You will see long in nature. This is a double pack. Probably my favorite snack in history. I've had a lot of these in my life. But Wawa, how could I explain this? If gas station convenience stores were, Tiffany's Fifth Avenue, that's what Wawa is.
The Tiffany's Fifth Avenue of convenience stores. That is a slogan right there.
It is. They serve hoagies or sandwiches, subs for the rest of the country. You guys all say it wrong. Fantastic. But here's the thing: everything from Wawa is like a Wawa thing. It's a Wawa hoagie. Is it the best hoagie you're ever gonna have in your life? No. But it's a Wawa hoagie. Is this potentially the best pretzel you're gonna have in your life? It's pretty darn good. But it's a Wawa pretzel. They have pizza now. Is it the best pizza you're gonna have? No. But it's Wawa pizza. So you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yes.
Slightly above average, always on time. It fills the void in your stomach when you need to be
affordable.
Filled. Extremely affordable. You can get gas at most of them now. It is primarily in Eastern Pennsylvania, in Florida, and I actually saw one up in North New York. I was actually really surprised. But they've tried to expand, Ray, not successfully. Wawa, official non-sponsor of Geeks Who Like Sports.
Awesome. Fantastic. Funny enough, I actually, a restaurant, not a Wawa, actually Instagrammed me, and I added it to my story yesterday saying I did the caption of the year for them. So I might also have like a non-sponsor. It's called Easy Street Burgers here in LA. It's right now that's only the one shop, but they are going to expand very quickly. You go there, the line is out. If you're there either lunchtime or dinner time, I had to go during off hours. The line is out the door.
Right.
It is phenomenal. They do a great job there. And a friend of mine helped my friend move, and he took me there to repay me for the free labor. And I took a picture of it, and I was like, helped friend move. He repaid me in burgers. I win this trade. And they were like, they retweeted me. They're like, that's the caption of the year. It's the caption of the year. You did it. Congratulations.
I love it. And the food, I'm guessing, was pretty good.
The smash burger was great.
There
it was
fantastic.
Well, it was really good.
I want to remind all of our non-sponsors, you could become a sponsor whenever you want. I think we need to cut these little clips out and put them online and put them out there so they at least can share them. Thank you for sharing them, Wawa. We love you, Wawa. And yeah, you can at any time become a official sponsor of the show and wipe out all of the non-sponsors in one fell swoop. Right.
Yes,
and
by being an actual sponsor. Yes, sponsors take precedent over non-sponsors.
Now, Ray, what I'm going to do is, because I know myself, I'm going to take these soft pretzels. For those of you listening, you can hear the crinkle of the paper. And I'm going to actually kind of yeet these across the room because I will eat them during the show, as you've seen before. I had to mute myself one episode, and I remember thinking, I'm being very rude right now. And Ray, I respect you like a brother, a family member. So listen, here they go. Yeet.
There you go.
I hope you heard that on the microphone.
Speaking of Yeet, we're gonna talk about Yeet later with the Royal Rumble. We got a big show for you today, folks. We've got some Marvel stuff going on. We've got a lot of video game news, stuff even breaking just this morning before the show started. Just general doom and gloom in the video game industry. But yeah, a lot of wrestling stuff. Obviously, a little bit. We got a little bit of baseball, just a little bit, a fun baseball story. But we're gonna kick things off as we have been in recent weeks, as the playoffs are starting to wind down. It was conference championship weekend in the NFL. We got a lot of football stories to talk about, and we're gonna kick things off with. Well, first off, we need to say I think we both went 1-1 again this weekend before we get into it. So once again, Lee and I are both 7-5 going into the Super Bowl. This was the game that I correctly predicted, the AFC Championship. I predicted the Chiefs. Lee had predicted the Ravens, and I'm not gonna lie, Lee, this was not the kind of game that I was expecting.
Me neither.
Whatsoever. The Chiefs win 17-10. A single field goal was scored in the entire second half. I know there was some rain in the fourth quarter, but even still, look, the people don't realize that the Chiefs have a top 5 defense this year. Baltimore does as well. Those two showed up. The Chiefs, mind you, could have scored more. A couple of questionable play. Really, a theme of this entire football season: questionable play calling. We'll get into more of that also later in the second game. So the Chiefs could have probably had at least 20 or 24 points in this game, but their defense was stout in the second half.
Yeah.
Lee, what are your thoughts on the Chiefs going to their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give them a round of applause because the experience is now paying off. My prediction for Baltimore winning was based off of the Chiefs not executing. But they executed pretty damn well in this game. They looked like a Super Bowl ready team right from the start of the game with Travis Kelce and Mahomes messing with with Baltimore.
Yes, the kicker, Justin Tucker. Yeah.
You know, I saw that. I'm like, oh, they're ready. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, again, Baltimore had their chances, but I think at the end of the day, you know, probably got outcoached a little bit. I'm going to talk about that with the Niners and the Lions game too. But yeah, look, Kansas City, man, this is like reminds me of Brady and the Patriots when they were really winning. Like there's just too much experience there now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like something has to go really horribly wrong for them not to be in a position to win now. And again, what is that? Is it 5 or 6 AFC championship games from Mahomes in a row?
Six AFC championship games in a row.
Yeah.
Now and yeah, this is they're now 4-2 in those AFC championship
games.
At
some point you start to experience Trump's talent. And I think that they're there. I mean, and again, this was their chance for Baltimore, but now it's gonna be tough for them.
And to be fair, Baltimore really shot themselves. Baltimore played a terrible game. Again, talking about experience, Baltimore, it looked like they got flustered. It looked like, especially when they fell behind early, Lamar Jackson in the second half looked like he was trying to do too much. A couple of turnovers on his end. A terrible turnover at the goal line by Zay Flowers, the young rookie wide receiver.
Horrible turnover.
Yeah. And really just that was the difference in the game. The Chiefs played flawless football. They didn't need to score more than 17 points. And I think that if the game had gotten closer, I think you might have saw Mahomes and the offense wake up a bit.
Right. And like Ray, like we said, like you can't make mistakes in these games. Not to that level. Like
I mean, terrible penalties.
Yeah, you cannot do that at this level, right? At this point of the season. And so again, this is where experience trumps it. But I agree with you, Ray. Like Baltimore did not play a Super Bowl caliber game, and you're not in the Super Bowl now.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is as much as the Chiefs did beat them and fluster them, the Baltimore Ravens also really beat themselves. And again, it just was kind of the coaching, and it just never seemed like, as great as John Harbaugh is, it never seemed like he could settle his players down. There was a lot. I mean, I'll say this, when Odell Beckham Jr. seems to be the voice of reason on the sideline, calming down rookie Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson and all that, that's a bad sign, in my opinion. And yeah, so that's so the Chiefs advance.
Well, I'll say this real quick about Lamar Jackson. You know, suddenly I think he's 2-4 in the playoffs.
He's 2-4 in the postseason now. Yeah.
Now you get the tag of you can't win the big game. Now that's where he's at now in his career. Is he going to be, you know, is he going to be the guy who can't win the big game? So that's where he's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, he's never been better than 1-1 in the postseason, and that continues again this year. So that's
I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying that's the tag he has on him now.
I mean, and the thing is if there was going to be any year that he was going to eschew that tag, that jettison that tag, it was going to be this year. And still, you put up 10 points in the AFC Championship game at home in
Yeah.
Baltimore. Like this wasn't like they got to Arrowhead, right?
No.
Like no, they were in Baltimore. Which by the way, also I don't know if you noticed, of course, the Ravens have stolen the Eagles chant.
Yes, I did see that.
The
But
RAVENS Ravens. Come
yes,
on,
very
guys.
very original. Way to go,
Uh,
Baltimore.
well done, Baltimore. Anyway, moving on now to the NFC. This was the game that I was really most excited for, and especially in the first half. This was
Yeah.
a game of tale of two halves. Uh, Captain Kneecap Dan Campbell had his guys ready to go. They came out with a great game plan. They hit the Niners in the mouth, and then the Niners they settled down. They started playing their game, and I will also say the Lions then let them back into the game. You give a team like the Niners an inch,
Mm-hmm.
and well, they're going to take 27 unanswered points and then suddenly take the NFC Championship. The Niners win 34-31 at home up in Santa Clara. Really, again, the Lions were up 24-7 at the half. They put up a good fight there at the end, but the third quarter, which for folks who've been following the Lions the whole year, seems to have been a bugaboo for them, really kind of bit them in the butt again here. Both teams had a turnover that led to a touchdown, so that was even. And it just seems that, again, experience kind of won the day here. And even though the San Francisco 49ers dug themselves a massive, massive hole, the Niners are able to come out on top, and we have a rematch of Super Bowl 54 in our hands. Lee took the Niners. I took the Lions in this one. So, again, we both went 1-1. Lee, what are your thoughts on this game that really feels like, I mean, experience was the deciding factor in this?
Yeah, a lot of people are looking at that fourth quarter and some of the decision making, and that's not where the Lions lost the game. When you blow a lead like that, that is where you lost the game.
Yeah.
And again, when you're in desperate territory, I'll make a few thoughts on that. Look, the Niners were the best team in the NFC. I just think that they played like the best team in the NFC, and I think the Lions looked like a team that, and you could see it on the field, they looked like they had won the game. They were acting like they won the game.
Yes.
You never do that. You just
Former Eagle Gardner Johnson was
yes.
I'll say this. That reminded me of Jeremy Shockey doing that 20 years prior. And then
Never
the
do
Giants
that.
blew
Yeah.
a massive lead to the Niners
Yeah.
before they got and the Giants, they lost those teams 39-38. It was a disaster.
It's a little bit undisciplined to me.
Yeah.
When I see stuff like that, and look, it happens all over the league. I'm not just putting on the Lions, but it's just like when I see stuff like that, it's never a good sign, right? You saw this with Atlanta when they were playing the Patriots. It looked sure they, I don't. There's certain things about the NFL that I don't understand how people aren't realize. One is clock management. I still don't, that. I don't understand how that has not played in better. But if there's ever been a season where someone thinks they have the game won and someone can come back, you and I, Ray, when we were in college, I think we watched the team come back from 4 touchdowns down and win a game. It's the biggest comeback in the NFL history. Like, you are never finished with this game until it's done.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you cannot commit to that, and look, I'm not crapping on the Lions. It was an amazing run. There's a great postseason, but I said this last week that the magic is wearing off because they've already gone farther now than they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Right. And the Niners' purpose is so much deeper. Like, they were wronged last year in their minds. The Super Bowl was stolen from them last year, not by anyone's fault, but by injury. Right. So their goal is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the Lions' goal is we made the playoffs. We won a game in the playoffs. And I'm not saying that the Super Bowl wasn't their goal, my friends. Don't get me wrong, but it's the why was not as strong as the Niners. Now, when it comes to the play calling in the fourth quarter, this is where I go back and forth, Ray, in my own mind as a coach. They went forward on that fourth down, did not convert.
They went forward on 2 fourth downs and did not convert in the second half.
Right. Well, and everybody said they could have got that field goal. They could have put themselves in a position to tie. And it was said that, well, that's not their game plan, right? Their game plan is to be aggressive. Part of me says, you stick with your game plan. You got to believe.
Live by the fourth down, die by the fourth down.
Right. Another part of me says, sometimes you have to change the game plan.
Yes.
Hindsight is always 2020, always 2020. But to me, in that situation, you get the points you need to get with the clock still in your back pocket.
Right.
And unfortunately, that play now took the clock out of their hands, and they gave the ball literally to the Niners.
Niners,
Usually I'll say something like, "Coach took it out of the players' hands." I don't know if that's the case here. I mean, I don't know who made the call to go for it. I don't know if the players were all in alignment. If the players were all in alignment with that, you made the right call. All right. But this is why I said, it's not so much just hindsight. was watching that like they should take the points. They should get the 3 points
Yes,
here. Trust your D,
100%.
because you're also telling your
Yeah,
D that we don't think you can stop them, right? In
yeah.
a situation like that.
Well, and to your point again, you change it. The NFC Championship needs a different game plan than Week 15 or 16 against
Yeah, you
Dallas,
have to
right?
be
Like,
flexible. Yeah,
yeah.
and,
So I mean, I
yeah,
agree with that. And
yeah.
yeah, they kind of
So many coaches like live and die on their game plan. And look, I will be the first one to admit, as someone who has coached on a football field before, it is very hard to change things when there's so many moving parts. But like that's just it was an aggressive decision in a position I'm not sure you had to be aggressive. Now listen, I'm
not
also
that
an
aggressive.
Eagles fan. We did the Philly special on 4th down in the Super Bowl. I mean, if that doesn't convert, we're having a conversation about how stupid, Peterson was
Sure.
at that point. But a little bit of a different situation too. That was like on the 2-yard line. All right.
Right. If you
All
don't
right.
get that, you've basically the
Yeah.
Patriots are backed up in their own end
Yeah.
zone,
And it
right?
was
Not at the
also in the first
30.
half. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't like the end 4th quarter, right? So
Sure.
again, hindsight's 2020, but I'll stick by this. I felt in the moment before they ran that play they should have taken the field goal.
Yeah.
But they didn't lose on that. I'm gonna say it again. You blow a lead like that.
No,
That's where you lost
they
the
had a
game.
series of drops. Again, the fumble that led to
Yeah,
one of the Niners touchdowns, right? Like again, you win the turnover battle, you win a whole lot more games in the NFL. Like that and then Jahmyr Gibbs just had an amazing year, the rookie fumbling there. Like obviously that wasn't the only play that cost in the game, but it
right.
adds up, right?
It always adds up. Yeah,
You make enough mistakes and you can't at some point a team like the Lions can't overcome that many mistakes against a team like the Niners.
yeah. No, you can't. And I'm gonna say it again. Like AFC Championship game, NFC Championship game, you have to be playing near perfect football to win. But look, we've said this since the beginning of the playoffs. You can sneak out a win in the wild card round.
Sure.
You can maybe get by in the divisional round if both teams are playing not perfect. You
Right.
cannot get to the Super Bowl. One of the teams is guaranteed to play a perfect game. All right. And now when you get both teams playing that way, it's an amazing game.
Sure.
All right. And it typically comes down to who has the ball last.
Yep.
Right. But no, it's just the Baltimore and the Lions made just one too many mistakes in these games. And again, I think the biggest one is you don't wave goodbye to the crowd. You got to play the whole game. You're sending that message to your whole team. I'm not putting on just one person.
For sure.
It's just like, that's just the lack of discipline to me. Some of the players should have grabbed him and said, stop, we're not done yet.
Yep. Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, it's just, experience won the day. So now we have, again, a rematch of Super Bowl 54. Legacy's on the line. If the Chiefs win, that's basically officially a new dynasty. Obviously, if the Niners win, it's a return to glory. The Niners haven't won the Super Bowl since Super Bowl 29 in 1994 when they beat the San Diego Chargers. Since then, going 0-2, losing Super Bowl 47 and the aforementioned Super Bowl 54 to the Chiefs. Lee, we'll go over it. We'll talk about this again next week, probably as we start to get closer. But what is your gut instinct? What is your initial thought on who will win the Super Bowl in just about 2 weeks away?
Kansas City by 2 scores.
That's frightening because that's exactly what I was going to say.
That's what it is.
Yep.
If the Niners are not inhumanly possessed,
yeah,
the experience wins the day. Kansas City has shown me with 2 wins on the road.
Yep.
With Travis Kelce breaking a record.
Yep.
And with Taylor Swift looking beautiful after every game, which has nothing to do with the outcome.
No. But I'm very happy for them. They seem very lovely.
They do. I think they've won America over at this point. But no, we'll talk about this in a minute too. Kansas City by 2 scores. Not that I'm rooting against the 49ers. I just think that they're too experienced. They're healthy. Everyone's, and there's too many weapons. Like even if you take Travis Kelce out, which is really hard. Everyone's catching the ball finally.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So,
everybody in Kansas City is making play. Is it suddenly the playoff Chiefs are like, the Chiefs are like, oh, it's the playoffs. Yeah. Oh, we should start playing now.
Right. And that's why, like, if they were playing like this going into the postseason, I would have picked them every week. But they've proven to me that they're going to win the Super Bowl by 2 scores in a couple.
Well, and speaking of that, and that's why part of the reason why I'm going against the Niners is that you look at these first 2 games for the Niners against Green Bay and Detroit. And they've gotten off to very slow starts. The Green Bay one I can understand because of the bye and all that stuff. But then you also had a really slow start against Detroit. And part of that is also Detroit was amped up. But also you're better than that. You shouldn't have been giving up 24 first half points. And if they get off to a slow start against Kansas City will play a full 60-minute game.
Yeah.
They will not relinquish. If they get a 10 or a 17-point lead, they will not relinquish that. And that's the kind of thing with the Niners. Remember, I mean, Shanahan admitted it. This is the first time in his tenure, and he's been there for over a half decade now, that the Niners have been able to show a propensity to come back. They had, before the week against Green Bay last week, they had never come back from a fourth quarter deficit of more than 4 points. And again, then this week, they had never come back from that many points at the half. They're not going to be able to do that against Kansas City.
Not
the Niners dig themselves a hole in 2 weeks. It's over. That hole they dig is their grave. They're done.
I will say this: if they do dig a hole, they will begin to come back, but it's not going to be.
Sure, it won't be. Mahomes will answer whatever they try to do.
They're not going to just let you walk back in. They're not going to be waving at the crowd goodbye. I'll put it that way.
No.
No.
Andy Reid would never let that happen.
You want to make a score prediction real quick?
I will say 31-17.
That is exactly what I was going to say. That's amazing.
Folks, we are not making this up. We did not talk about this beforehand.
That's exactly what I was going to say. 31-17 is my prediction as well. Potentially 31-24 or 21. Sorry.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
very similar to what Super Bowl 54 was, which was 31-20 was the final.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I could also see it. I'll say this. I could even see it being a lower scoring game. I could see it being like a 24-10 kind of thing. Like, because again, that Kansas City, these defenses are not to be trifled with, but I will say this. It seems like Kansas City's defense and Steve Spagnuolo, who of course is I know a lot of coordinators don't get enough love, but he was the Giants defensive coordinator when they won their Super Bowls. He's done it again now with Andy Reid. He should go down as one of the best defensive coordinators in NFL history. He was a mediocre head coach when he had that stint with the Rams, but he's one of the best defensive coordinators, and he always figures out a way to mess with the opponent. He did it with Lamar, and he's been doing he just does it all year, all the time.
Well, I'll tell you this too, that the way Mahomes has been airing out the ball. I mean, if the Niners are not careful, if you let Kansas City's offense stay out there too long, they're going to wear you down.
Yes.
And
which I think is also what they did to Baltimore yesterday.
Easily. Well, you could see it in the fourth quarter. Like just the way like they just couldn't keep up. You know what I mean? So Ray, I love that we're both aligned on this. I hope that we both take the Tide trophy all the way to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. But no football major news next week, which will be good. But I'm looking for it should be a good game. It's not the Super Bowl we wanted.
No,
but it should be a good game. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, we will see. We will see what happens. Couple other football stories from around the league. Tyler, not surprising in the age of social media, but it's still very, very unfortunate. Tyler Bass, of course, the kicker for the Bills, who missed the kick, and as we went over last week, it was not entirely his fault. The game should not have come down to him. No. But of course, many Buffalo Bills fans sending him death threats on Instagram.
Immediately after the game. Yeah.
Yes. And it just, I mean, God, could you imagine if their social media, the era of Bill Buckner or of Scott Norwood, also for the wide right for the Bills. I mean, I think they got like handwritten death threats. But like it just
probably not as many as
not as many as what you can get on social media now.
It's just so stupid.
Be better, Buffalo.
Yeah, the fact you'd want to kill someone or even threaten someone over a loss when it's ridiculous. I don't have much to say on it. It's just like if that is the biggest focus of your life and it causes you enough emotional distress to do that, you need to rethink your life. Look, I'll say this, Ray. Not many people love, coaching in sports more than me. All right. It would surprise most of you how different the priorities are of a pro sports team, pro athlete, pro coach than yours. Right. Where, don't get me wrong, we want to win more than you do. Believe it or not, fans, we probably do. All right. I mean that, or I should say we probably hate losing more than you like winning. All right. That I can say, like, and Ray, you know me pretty well. Like people mistake my kindness sometimes as a weakness.
Yeah. That's dumb.
It's dumb to do that. You most likely don't want to win as much as me, and you definitely don't hate losing as much as me.
Yeah.
All right. But at the end of the day, my success in life is not based on my team's winning, right?
Yeah.
Or my record as a coach. Those are great accolades and those are great things to strive for. My success is based on more like, do my kids give a shit about me? All right.
Yeah.
And do they know I care about them? That's real life. That's where I should get a death threat if I'm not doing that. And
Yeah.
Ray, it would be coming from you.
Probably.
Yeah. Dear sir.
Lee, be better.
Yeah.
So,
Stop,
but we
put
don't
the
have to worry
pretzel
about that.
down and take care of your family, you jerk.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about that. So, but yeah, one good kind of side effect of this, though, is that a lot of other folks, when they heard about this, have actually been donating to Tyler Bass's charity, which I believe is a cat rescue up
There's
here in
always
Buffalo.
there's always another side. There's always
Yes.
another side.
So that is that when people found out about this, the good-hearted people who, like yourself, who do not take this that seriously or being serious to the point where you send death threats to your kicker.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's not that serious.
Yeah, to
Cat
have
rescue,
been donating to his charity. I think they raised over
Well,
$10,000.
just release the cats on these people.
that could be a solution.
Local man was found dead yesterday after a stray cat, 500 stray cats mauled him to death.
Oh man,
the name Bass was engraved in his head. But
oh god. Oh goodness! You mentioned coaching though. Quick coaching news also in the NFL is that Jim Harbaugh, if the NCAA wanted to do any more sanctions against him or whatever, because supposedly that investigation is still going on.
Yeah.
They're not going to get a chance. He has once again gone back to the NFL.
And smart.
And
smart
yes,
move,
they can't touch him now because now he's part of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
Which actually I tell people yesterday. I was talking to some folks. I said, I think the Chargers are going to very quickly turn it around now because I think Harbaugh is a great coach. He's got the quarterback that he wants to like. He's not turning Jimmy Garoppolo into something. He's got somebody who's already something, and he's going to try and take him to the next level. Right. Now, not to say that the Chargers can't still be the Chargers, but I will say this. I think I'm going to say it right now. The Chargers are a wild card team next year.
Well, they better be.
They won't win the division. They won't win the division, but they'll be a wild card next team next.
Next year. It's smart of him to leave. I mean, he's got nothing else to prove in college. It's time to go back to the pros, and kind of reminds me of Carroll when he left USC. Like, let's just get out of here before things heat up.
Yes, yeah. So Harbaugh and Bill Belichick was not hired as the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. It was Raheem Morris, one of the coordinators for the Bucs.
He should take a year off. That is the right thing to do right now.
He might, especially as aren't many coaching vacancies open, and there's no interest from the couple still are. I believe Seattle is the last one that is still currently unfilled, and he is not going to go there. No,
I'm going to say it again. The blunt thing here is, I mean, he was a losing coach last season.
Yeah.
All right. At last few seasons, actually, it's not a shot at his legacy. But it's like he's got to take a year off and figure out how to coach again. All right. He has not succeeded without Brady. And it again, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, why would you hire, like, again, New England fans are going to go nuts with this, but why would you hire a losing coach?
Yeah.
Right now. All right. I know historically he is not, but what does he bring to the table right now when everyone's going younger or they're going more experienced in terms of the modern game? Right. So I think he needs to take a year off. I think he needs to reposition himself, or retire. I mean, like, I know what he wants, or retire.
He wants the record, but there's no shame in retiring in your mid-70s.
No. And again, I'm gonna say it again. I think he takes a year off and he comes back next year. Or the other scenario is someone's gonna get fired for him to replace them.
Yeah, and it's possible too. That is possible too.
Not in Philadelphia. Not Philadelphia.
No,
we kept Nick Sirianni and got two new coordinators, which I actually think was the right move.
I think your defensive coordinator was a fantastic move in Vic Fangio. Yes. I think you've made a terrible mistake in hiring Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator.
We'll find out. Yes, we will see.
But he had a mediocre run at best as the offensive coordinator in Dallas, and then had a terrible run with the Chargers. So we will see.
I think that just the hiring of two new coordinators kind of confirms what I was saying, that with the issues with the Eagles were coaching issues, that play calling issues, that those two lost the locker room. Team still seems to love Sirianni. I don't think he would have been kept if that wasn't the case. So, like I said a few episodes ago, the most obvious answer tends to be the right answer. We were getting horrendous play calling from both coordinators. And I will also
100%.
say, if we do not do probably the Super Bowl this year, Sirianni will be fired after next season.
I agree. If you do next year what you did this year, Sirianni is gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we will see what happens there. Moving on now to baseball. We got a couple of fun stories in baseball. The first one, the New York Yankees not doing as much as I want them to do in free agency, but their minor leagues are going through some big changes. The Somerset Patriots have announced that for I think 3 or 4 games this year, they're the double A affiliate for the Yankees over in Jersey. They will be doing something to highlight and honor the New Jersey Diner. They will call themselves the Jersey Diners for 3 games. I think this is fantastic. The uniforms, if you haven't seen them on MLB.com, go to them. I can't wait. These will be my everyday uniforms now in MLB The Show.
I'm going right now. Is it you can find them?
You can find them. It is the New Jersey Diner. Yes, the Yankees, Somerset Patriots playing as the New Jersey Diners. It is fantastic. They have 4 alternate logos. One is the state of New Jersey looking like steak and eggs. Another one is a coffee pot with a stylized J on it. Another one is a stack of pancakes with baseball-shaped butter. And then the final one is a grilled cheese sandwich with base paths carved into the 4 corners of the cheese. It is honestly, I wish they would just become the Jersey Diners, period.
They may after this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why? Yeah. Like the Somerset Patriots, that's such a generic name. Call them the Jersey Diners. That goes up there with the Space Cowboys and the Trash Pandas. Like, this is the, you can have fun in the minor leagues. This is I think this is a great move. I think it is a lot of fun. New Jersey Governor Murphy, of course, celebrated the move. I think it's a good thing for everyone all around, and I think it's good for when minor league baseball does this. I think it reminds folks that baseball can be fun.
Well, it's supposed to be fun. I mean, this is what minor league sports is all about. I'm looking at these. These are brilliant.
Yeah. And it's a happy mug of coffee is the primary.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. It's very, very New Jersey. The other thing too is that now what kind of food are they going to serve at concessions on those nights?
So they said that each one of those nights they will be do something themed on diners, and they are also going to be highlighting a local diner in the area to kind of hopefully drive some business there.
Brilliant. It's got to be 24 hours, obviously. You can't not do a 24-hour diner.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm looking at these. Sure. These logos are brilliant. They are brilliant. We'll share those on our page.
Yeah.
Especially the bacon and the eggs. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, it was, I saw that and it brought a smile to my face. This was a really fun baseball story this week.
Well, I'm really hoping that Seattle, Washington creates a team called the Seattle Grind at some point, because when they were naming the Kraken, I thought that was a missed opportunity. Although Kraken is a pretty awesome name. But it's like, it's got to be fun, right? Like in hockey, Ray, my favorite minor league hockey team of all time, and this is not a joke for everybody listening, is the Macon Whoopee. And for those of you who don't know what Macon Whoopee is, one is slang for one thing, but the Whoopee is a bird from the area, Macon, Georgia. So the Macon Whoopee is a real team. I mean, the Trash Pandas is a real thing. That was amazing.
Yeah.
You got to have fun with minor league baseball because, again, like these are the games that you can bring your kids to. It's affordable. It's fun.
Yes.
And the Jersey Diner, much like Wawa, our unofficial sponsor for the day, is a staple of New Jersey. Yeah. You and I live on those. When we go back to Jersey together, we have to go to certain diners.
Yes.
Right. So, yes to all of this. Yes.
1,000
times. Yes.
Yeah. This is a fantastic move. So good on the Somerset Patriots, who are now, or at least for some days during the season, will be the Jersey Diners. Yes. Love it. And real quick, this is always somewhat controversial, but also at least this year, I feel like they got it kind of for the most part spot on. The Baseball Hall of Fame announced their inductees for this year. Todd Helton of the Colorado Rockies, Joe Mauer of the Minnesota Twins, and Adrian Beltre, who has not announced yet what baseball cap he would wear because he played for 4 teams. I think I actually did an informal poll on X/Twitter. And most people, 78% of people agree with me that he should go in with a Texas Rangers hat, since that's where he accrued most of his numbers, had most of his best years, and who he played for the longest. But we'll see what happens. And they're all in the Hall of Fame. Beltre and Mauer, first ballot Hall of Famers. Todd Helton got in on his 6th attempt. Yeah, Lee, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of surprised that Beltre got as much of the vote as he did because he was a bit of what they'll say, a stat compiler, right? He never won anything. He was never really on a winning team. And particularly in his final years in Texas, if you look at the first half of Beltre's career, not a Hall of Famer. Good player, not a Hall of Famer. And then something happened down in the heart of Texas, and he just really turned it on the last 7 or 8 years of his career and became a Hall of Famer. Really, his power numbers went through the roof. He ended up finishing with over 3,000 hits, which of course that is one of usually the qualifiers. You get 3,000 hits, you're basically automatically in. And he just shy of 500 home runs. He did have some Gold Gloves. He was a very solid third baseman, but it's fun. It's weird. It's one of those things, the eye test with baseball, right?
Right.
I just never looked at Beltre and said, "Oh yeah, he's a Hall of Famer." I always thought he was. Oh yeah, he's very good, but he's always been a good player on a losing team, right? But he is he's now officially a first ballot Hall of Famer. He got 95% of the vote. Joe Mauer, not surprised. I'll say this. I'm surprised that Joe Mauer got as little of the vote as he did as a former MVP, a 300 career batting average for a catcher. Not quite the power numbers you'd expect from a catcher, but Joe Mauer, again, former MVP, three-time batting champion, and also a very good defensive catcher. And then Todd Helton, who had been trending upwards for a while, getting over the hump because people finally realized that even though he had, yes, inflated numbers up in Colorado, he was also still a very good hitter on the road as well, which of course is where you play half of your ball games. So good on him. Lee, any thoughts for you on the Hall of Fame?
Ray, the Hall of Fame in baseball is one of the last few things in baseball that I have a real problem with. I'm not saying any of these guys don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But I think the voting procedure is really stupid. I think the
Yes.
snubs are insane.
Yes.
Insane. So for those of you who don't know, the way voting works for the Baseball Hall of Fame is you vote and you have to get 75% of the votes at least to get in. Right. So and again, you can vote for more than one person, obviously. I'm looking at this. Beltre's got 95% of the vote.
Yeah.
So like the way my brain works, I'm like, well, he sucked up a lot of numbers from other people that could have potentially gotten in, like Billy Wagner.
Yeah,
Gary Sheffield should be in the Hall of Fame.
Will get in next year is the
Yeah,
last year of his
well,
eligibility.
I mean, like Sheffield should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and he not this was his last year of eligibility, so he'll go to the veterans vote now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, Andrew Jones might have maybe the best at his position.
Yeah.
Like, and then the whole steroid era not being in, and we don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. Like, and then I can go on Pete Rose. So it's like the baseball. I actually hate saying this, and I really do. But the Baseball Hall of Fame is a joke. And
at this point, yes.
Yeah, I don't appreciate it. I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that it is horrible the way it's done. Mm-hmm. And I think that it is a bunch of elitist sports morons that make these decisions.
Yeah, the Baseball Writers Association of America, who are they all get a vote.
Why?
It's about anywhere between 450 and 550 people, depending on what's going on in the world.
You know who should select every Hall of Fame?
Me?
I can't deny you that. But, no, honestly, like you already know where I'm going to go with this. Who should be selecting who goes in the Hall of Fame?
The people.
No.
The commissioners.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
No.
The players.
Yes, the alumnus. All right.
Yes,
the coaches and the players should decide. Now, listen, if all the players came together and said, hey, Barry Bonds shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, Pete Rose shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. You know what? Okay. I can actually get behind that. Yeah. All right. I understand that. If that's really what they believe. All right. And here's the thing. What I like about the players and the coaches deciding, Ray, is that they can be pissed off for a few years, but I get cooler heads are going to prevail at some point. All right. Yeah. Do I think there should have been a delay on some of those guys getting into the Hall of Fame? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Do I think it's like we're going to just ignore the steroid era of baseball?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
No, you have the all-time hits leader, the all-time home run leader. You have
a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
No, I actually agree with that. I think doesn't the NFL have it where the people who are in the Hall of Fame now get a vote to say who
Yeah,
else goes into the Hall of
there's an
Fame?
aspect of it.
Yeah.
I just who made the writers God? I don't.
Yeah.
So you watch the game, so you get to decide the Hall of Fame? Are you
The
kidding
writers
me?
in baseball are the least knowledgeable, aside from their team typically, about the
Sure.
whole of
I
baseball.
don't think writers. I'm a writer.
Yeah.
I I w- I would not want to be entrusted with the NHL Hall of Fame. I
Yeah.
mean that. As much of an honor as that would be, as a
Yeah.
hockey person, no. My first call would be to NHL players.
Yeah.
So I just think it is an elitist joke
Yeah.
that is how it's decided. I don't think it should be based on, oh, if you get 75% of the vote. I don't have a problem. If some years have 10 players and some years have 2, I don't have a problem with that. And I will
Yeah.
never support the Baseball Hall of Fame again after that one year they took off because they felt like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, they didn't put anybody in. Yeah.
Joke.
Because that's the thing is you can vote for up to 10 players.
Yeah, it's a
And
joke.
sometimes though, but some guys are like, yeah, and some people turn in their ballot empty and say no one, right? Like, and
It's
that to me is
just
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Just
Um,
ridiculous. So no, I have no thoughts on it. Those guys are great players. They absolutely deserve to be in a Hall of Fame. But the Baseball Hall of Fame to me is a joke. I'm sorry. And feel free
yeah,
to disagree with me out there if you think that it should be done differently or you like the way it's done. Um, you said it perfectly a few minutes ago. You have record holding athletes
yeah,
not in your Hall of Fame.
yeah,
It's a joke. Can you
yeah,
imagine if Wayne Gretzky was not in the NHL Hall of Fame? Mark Messier, Jaromir Jagr, Mario Lemieux. Can you imagine if they were they would never do it. Wayne Gretzky was involved in gambling. Clearly,
yeah,
he's in the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
Mario Lemieux was in the Hall of Fame before he came back to play. The only
Yeah.
player ever to play who was in the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah,
it's they could have removed them then if they really wanted to,
right.
right? It's a joke.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly because again, also, yeah, if you're looking at the stats and you're looking at, well, this guy had like, well, he had 6 really good years and or whatever, right? Like, then there's certain guys who should be in that aren't in, and then there's also some guys who are in that probably shouldn't be in because they just compiled a lot of like they just it's so arbitrary that it just makes zero sense. Again, I mean, my perfect
Yeah.
example is why is Harold Baines in and Don Mattingly not in?
Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa
Are
saved
not
your
in.
game.
Yeah.
I don't steroids. They saved your freaking game.
Yeah.
They're not in there.
Yeah.
Go to hell. I'm not a fan of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm a fan of the athletes.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine if writers picked for everything?
Yes.
We'd be
Oh
so
my God.
screwed,
It'd be, yeah.
right?
No, it's awful.
In
Awful.
the age of sideline reporters saying, I made up my story. We got these people voting for the
Oh
Hall of
my,
Fame.
yeah. Yeah. Go back to previous episodes, folks, to hear about
Yeah.
that
Oh, I
story.
just made it up. I'm a writer. I'm a journalist. Just made it up. My God, Edward Murrow's turning over his grave. Google that.
Yeah. Good night and good luck.
Oh, perfect. Oh, this is why I love working with you, Ray.
Yes. Speaking of folks going to hell, though, let's move into
That
wrestling.
was so good. That was good. So good.
So,
Oh, that
no,
was so
no
good.
chance in hell. This is actually a big weekend for wrestling. A lot of stories.
Oh,
We're going to
man.
start with what they have been referring to now as a dark cloud over Royal Rumble weekend. Vince McMahon.
A little more than a dark. This is a hurricane now.
This is super dark,
Yeah.
folks. Yeah,
This is the day after tomorrow, like level storm.
Vince McMahon once again being sued for his actions when, of course, he was in charge of WWE. He's being sued for sex trafficking and harassment, amongst other things. He has been forced to resign from the board of TKO, who, of course, who they just merged with. I mean, and folks, I'm not going to get into it. I mean, just Google it if you want. But Vince in the allegations did some horrific things to yet another woman. And with this, TKO acted swiftly, acted justly, in my opinion. I mean, and honestly, like, they shouldn't have brought Vince back in the first place after the last set of allegations.
Right.
And that's really the big issue here. But again, that was also when WWE had not merged with TKO. That was their own internal board. But I also want to know now what their board found that allowed them to bring or didn't find for them to bring him back in the first place, because it's just really, really, I'm not going to get into the details. It's just horrible stuff that Vince did. He's had a reputation for this for a long time, and this is now this what, the second lawsuit in the last 3 years out for allegations against him. It is a bad look, and so TKO acted very swiftly with their precious acquisition of WWE, and we'll get into some of the other stuff about around that in a bit. But Lee, your thoughts on Vince McMahon?
Yeah, our good friend Xavier Cruz, who's also the editor of our show, who runs his own show, the New to Wrestling podcast, filled me in on the specifics
Yeah,
of these allegations, which are frankly disgusting.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that metaphorically. I mean,
No, it's
literally
legitimately disgusting. Yeah,
disgusting. And I want to tell him that I appreciate him filling me in. This is what I'm going to say. We always knew Vince was a villain and kind of a
yeah,
horrible person
yeah.
who was also a genius, like most geniuses are.
Sure.
This man's going to jail if this stuff is true, which it is, because they have proof, like extreme proof, it sounds like, that he did
Yeah,
these things. Um, he just kind of the scum of elitism in the 90s. Just that's what this guy is, and it spilled over into the 2000s. And I didn't want it to be true because of what he's accomplished, but
it
unfortunately, what he
sure
did,
it
it
sure looks
trumps
like
it.
it.
It
Yeah,
trumps what he's accomplished. I'm glad that the WWE is being changed over. I'm glad that the Attitude
yes,
Era stars are coming in to save the WWE, which they all
yeah,
we'll get into that too with The Rock. But I mean, all the Attitude stars are coming back to save wrestling,
yeah.
which is the way it should be. But yeah, Vince is a POS.
It's
Yeah,
Weinstein-esque.
I think it's well,
Oh,
yeah, it
I
is, it
mean,
is. Yeah,
it's
it is. That's a very good example, right?
yeah,
He's a horrible person, and the things
yeah,
that he did are unforgivable. And it's just everything you've come to hate against the rich people that have no morals. I don't know what else to say.
yeah,
They thought he was invincible. He's not. I feel for his family actually.
yeah,
Assuming they're not involved, maybe they are. You never know what's
yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say this. I mean, in the Royal Rumble presser, and understandably so. I mean, the press actually did their job and asked
They
Triple
did,
H about
yeah,
this,
and he
and
dived.
he kind of just deflected. I mean, and I get. I mean, it's for it is hard because they gotta deal with there's a lot that he has to
Well, it's
do
his
as the
father-in-law too.
CEO.
You
It's
got to, yeah. I
it's
mean,
his
yeah,
father-in-law. He's got like,
yeah,
yeah, it's a terrible place to be for him, but now you're in the C-suite, and part of your C-suite for a really long time was a terrible person. And now I'll say this. I mean, the one thing he did say, and I hope it is true, is that Triple H said that he found out about this in real time along with everybody else based on the reports.
yeah.
Cody Rhodes, which I felt made less sense because he is at this point just a wrestler, was asked about it as well, and him too. I definitely see the locker room, and definitely I could see someone like Cody. I mean, that's the thing with Weinstein, right? Like, some folk, there were rumors, but like there were a lot of
Yeah,
folks who did not see that because they only dealt with him in certain capacities, right?
yeah, you don't
So
know. You just don't know till you know something. Look, some people obviously did know. You're never gonna find out who knew what and knew when.
right,
Uh,
exactly.
he was the person, but he's the puppet master here, and he's gonna be held accountable. And if
Yeah,
other
I
people are
mean,
involved, they'll find out. I mean, look, the other people were named in this stuff, so
John
we'll see.
Laurinaitis, who is former head of talent, I think
Yeah,
head of talent relations, I believe was his title.
yeah,
Brock Lesnar
he's
was named in this.
yeah,
So that's part of the reason why people think Brock Lesnar was not at the Rumble this year. So there's yeah, this is they're just getting started with this. This will continue to unfold, and it is a terrible look for WWE. It's interesting. It is, in a way, it is really jettisoning its past as it continues to launch and look towards the future.
right.
But this is going to be a really ugly and disgusting and just trash filled jettisoning of it as it trails off. It's a shame that this will be as much Vince's legacy as much as the WWE
Yeah,
legacy.
it is a shame, but like this is someone who thought they were invincible, and
Yeah, and
they're
they're
not.
not,
Yeah.
and that's it. So justice will be served. Um, and yeah, we'll let you know as that develops what happens as it's just getting started. But funny enough, in a kind of weird turn of events, uh, I don't think he was going to take Vince's place on the board. I think he was going to get his own chair, but now he's basically kind of taking Vince's place on the board. The Rock
Mhm.
has come back to WWE. The Rock has joined the board of directors at TKO. Also, a part of this deal is he also gets ownership of the Rock brand, which is a big, big deal for him
Huge. Yeah,
personally.
very big.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, you mentioned it, Lee. Look, Triple H is the CCO now, and the product has never been better since he's taken over full creative control of WWE. The Rock coming in now, board of directors, and Triple H also said this during his press conference. He's thrilled because as two former wrestlers, Triple H and The Rock can kind of have a shorthand that Triple H can't have with the rest of the board.
Right.
And he can kind of act as like a liaison between the board, which obviously as the head of several companies and being part of several companies and his own production company and the UFL and all these other things that The Rock is a part of, his tequila and all this other stuff. And he can then also go to Triple H and kind of translate what the board wants to Triple H and then also vice versa. This is, I think, a brilliant move for WWE as The Rock comes home in a big, big way. Lee,
No,
what are your thoughts on The Rock?
100%. No, it's like I said, all the Attitude Era stars are coming back now to save the WWE. I mean, I would not be surprised if The Rock knew that this scandal was about to break, and that's why they asked him to do it. A lot of perfect deflection points here, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But we know this, right? We talked about this years ago that the WWE was straying the wrong way. It was kind of lost. And I think that some of that comes down to Vince having been too old to be running the WWE. I mean, he was getting stagnant. He was going back to all the tricks and it wasn't working. And
Right.
I think you have to have some more modern leadership here. And look, Dwayne Johnson is not just a great wrestling presence. I mean, this is a guy who's at the pinnacle of entertainment around the world.
Yeah.
There really was not anybody better than him to be put in this role. Maybe Tom Cruise. Like that's the role he's at. I mean, he was competing with Tom Cruise for a bit for roles. I mean, so it's a great person to be there. It's going to be interesting to see how his experience now in Hollywood will play into this because like he's so much more than The Rock now. You combine him with Triple H. I said it before, like Austin is doing a great job with the Broken Skull Session podcast. I mean, that is a great point now for people. It's kind of cool to see it. I think Road Dogg's involved. I think I heard that too.
Road Dogg is now back with WWE, behind the scenes producing.
Yeah. Michaels is with NXT. I mean, it's you got the Attitude Era stars are saving wrestling, and I think it's a cool storyline. And the other thing is they can appear whenever they want.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and again,
and that's why people are saying The Rock is now going to be part of WrestleMania. So
it's well done. And again, the Rock needed a break from Hollywood. He was starting to flounder a little bit there.
Yeah.
Like Black Adam was a major flop. So it's just, he'll go back to filming. Look, it's just like Schwarzenegger, like talk about Invincible a little bit. Schwarzenegger reinvents himself over and over and over again.
And became a politician, then became a movie star again.
I think it's easy for people to forget just how almost irrelevant he was becoming after his scandal. I mean, he's really in a dark place.
Yeah.
This was right at the end of his governorship, if I'm not mistaken, right? And it's like he came back as a movie star. Yeah, I mean, he completely came back. Not that I'm celebrating his infidelity. I'm just saying that when you're good like that, you find ways to come back. And Schwarzenegger has done so much more good in the world than bad, unlike Vince McMahon, which is kind of obvious. But I think Dwayne Johnson's in that realm. I think he does a lot more good than bad. I think he's actually a really good person. Having never met him, but good move for WWE.
Yes, absolutely. And another good move, I think, for WWE. This is massive as streaming services start to move more towards live sports.
I believe we called this too.
Yeah.
I believe we said this was going to happen.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, there's a lot of deals with the WWE that are expiring soon. They are leaving Fox, which at the time was a big record-breaking deal, which was like I think it was $1.5 billion. I think they were getting $300 million a year for 5 years. SmackDown will no longer be on Fox. SmackDown will now move to the USA Network, continuing that long-time relationship. And for the first time in 30 years, Monday Night Raw will leave USA Network, and for the next 10 years will be on Netflix. They're getting $500 million a year. For those who can do the quick math, that's $5 billion for the WWE to go to Netflix exclusively starting January 2025. So in 11 months from now, if you are used to watch, if your DVR is set to record Raw on USA Network, it's not going to work anymore, folks. It is leaving USA Network. It is leaving basic cable and is going to streaming. This is a big deal. Along with it, also a lot of documentary features that Netflix is great at producing are going to go over there. And it sounds like also a couple other things. The WWE Network is officially being nixed because there's no need for it now at this point. So the shell of that is done. And a lot of the stuff that is currently, there's some stuff that will stay on Peacock for a while, but I think that deal officially, like including the pay-per-views, I think that part of their deal officially expires at the end of 2025. And when that happens, that stuff will also shift over to Netflix. So Netflix is getting the bulk of the WWE content and programming over the next couple of years as a part of a record-breaking, massive deal, $5 billion. Lee, the future is here. The future is now. What are your thoughts on Netflix being the ones to acquire WWE Monday Night Raw rights?
Yeah, we had talked about Netflix diving into sports and because of Amazon's relationship with the NFL, and this was their answer, a $5 billion 10-year deal for what I believe, Ray, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be their first live content. I haven't seen them do anything live, on Netflix yet. Am I mistaken in that? Have you seen them? I don't think they've done anything to my knowledge.
I'm not sure. Did they do anything with F1? I'm not positive.
It's the fact that we don't know tells you something, right?
Well,
I'll
yeah,
put it
yes,
that,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So,
even if they had
yeah,
experimented with something like that,
right.
it would definitely it did not move the
It was
needle
an
like the way
experiment.
this will move the needle.
Right. And now Netflix needed some sort of destination viewing, right? They needed you
Yeah,
to be there for something because the release schedules weren't doing it anymore. This
yeah,
is their answer. Also shows you how powerful WWE is because
yeah,
the other half of this for Netflix is not just appointment viewing. Because once you're on Netflix, you're on Netflix, right?
right.
You're going to be staying there for a little bit. Now you're going to keep your subscription if you're a wrestling fan. But how many wrestling fans are there that it's worth them to spend $5 billion? Right. So that gives you an idea how vast the WWE wrestling universe is. Right.
Yes.
It's also a power move by the WWE to their competition to be
Yeah.
the first ones to move into this space.
Yeah.
Right. And I expect this is the first of many moves of live entertainment now
Yeah.
towards streaming, which is something we were waiting to happen. Right.
Yes.
Again, ESPN's streaming service, ESPN Plus, has done this with hockey. Right. If you have
Yes. Done a
ESPN
great
Plus,
job
you
with
have
hockey.
they've done a fantastic job. So you're seeing the transition finally take place.
Yeah.
I would say that COVID accelerated all this about 10 years.
Sure.
Right. I'm glad to see it. It's funny, Ray, is the other week when when Amazon had that football game on, I'm not Amazon, sorry, Peacock. We talked about it.
Yeah.
They had one play how outraged people were, and I said everybody outraged is over 50.
Right.
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that as a joke to them. I'm saying this time has changed. The viewership now is there. That's where the money is, and that's where
Sure.
everybody's going to go.
And this is also a double. Now you mentioned the competition for WWE. I wonder if this is also partially in response that there had been rumors for a while that AEW, because
Mhm.
obviously they're on TNT and TBS, they have a very good relationship with Warner Brothers,
Right.
right? Who of course the parent company of that, and that they were possibly going to go start moving stuff to
Max,
Max,
yeah, which is probably going
and
to happen
which
now.
yeah, well, yes,
Yeah.
honestly, and now you have to go to Max with one of your
Right.
shows because, like, I mean, honestly, I canceled my Max subscription like a while ago, but
Me
if
too.
AEW wrestling went to Max, I'd have to. I
Well,
would
and
not
and
lie. I would
and
get Max
yeah,
back.
this is what's going to start happening is the jumping on properties is going to happen. This live stuff.
Yeah,
We said it when live TV goes to streaming, it changes everything,
yeah,
right? So yes, that's what's going to happen because suddenly AEW looks very old if they're not
yeah.
on streaming. So
Right. It's
so
suddenly
but
all of these new and like reinvented, like TNA wrestling is back and all sorts of stuff. Like, and there's like, we're on basic cable. And it's
right,
like, oh
yeah,
God, you guys are so 1995. Get
right.
out of here.
That you
Like,
can see how quickly the tide turns here, and like this is what's happening. The other thing too is I think you got this is where the leadership now of the WWE is coming in.
yeah,
Right? Like people are architecting deals. Vince never would have done this.
yeah.
Never. I give him no credit. I don't think it had anything to do with it.
No, absolutely not.
Right. So
No.
like I think this is where Triple H comes in and says, like, we got to do this.
Yeah, this comes in with Triple H and the rest of the TKO board that might be a
Yeah.
little bit more
Smart.
modern. Yeah,
Smart.
Nick Khan and guys like that,
Yeah.
and it just yeah, no, this is very very smart. Um, One last final note. It was Royal Rumble weekend. We mentioned it. Our two champions, Bailey, she was the first women's Grand Slam champion, I do believe, and she will be she finally wins a Royal Rumble. This is her first Royal Rumble win. It's a big deal going towards WrestleMania, likely to challenge Rhea Ripley. That is a main event that I think will be must see. And I will say this. I think it shows how far WWE has come because the women's Rumble was infinitely more entertaining than the men's Rumble.
Yeah.
Like I watched it this weekend. I watched
They've done
the late.
yeah.
I was busy and I
WWE
watched.
has
Yeah,
done a fantastic job of bringing that women's division to the forefront and just making
yeah,
it equal. And you can see it. Like you really can't go online right now as a sports fan not see Rhea Ripley. I mean, like they're doing it
yes,
well, right?
yes.
And it took too long to get there, but you can go on and watch a women's match, and it's not taboo in any way. It's just good
No,
wrestling.
it's just good wrestling. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the way it took a long time to get there, but they're there now, and it's paying off in spades. The women's Rumble match was infinitely better than the men's. The men's one ended with CM Punk basically versus Cody Rhodes. Cody was able to throw Punk over, and I'll say this: I kind of just don't care. Cody is the first person to win back-to-back Rumbles since Stone Cold did it at the end of the '90s in the Attitude Era, and I really feel like a lot of folks were knocking WWE for their lack of long-term storytelling. And then they've done this now like year and a half story with Cody that to me this was the one story that didn't need to be a year and a half. Like
I agree.
they keep talking about Cody finishing the story. When hearing that now for a year and a half, I am tired of the story. Like I'm tired of it. I am, honestly. I think they kind of underestimated the patience of a lot of wrestling
And it's
fans because
only going to get shorter. Yeah.
yeah, and I think folks are kind of a little burnt out from it. I mean, I think it will finally be paid off now at WrestleMania, and thank goodness. But like at this point, like I almost don't care about Cody. Here's the thing: you want to surprise me? You want to keep me intrigued? Actually, have Cody lose at WrestleMania. Right? Then, well, first off, then to me the story is over, and the story is just that's it. Like he lost, right? Like,
Right.
but at this point, it seems the last thing people want in wrestling is predictability. And to
Right.
me, Cody's story became very predictable and unsatisfyingly so when he lost last year. And now they're doing this year buildup for him now to finally just kind of win this year. So
Yeah, well,
the
like we'll see what happens. I think again, there's been a lot of backroom changes, a lot of backroom people doing things, and I think that's why you got a stagnant story. And I think that Ray, you're affirmed in your statements here because of the changes that have happened, like the people that are coming in, the big money moves that they're making, the Rock coming to the board. That tells you people agree with you,
mhm.
right? This is really no difference than like a head coach, offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, all getting fired for new people,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
so I think um, we said this years ago when AEW is really getting hot
yeah,
that the WWE will be patient, but they will react.
yeah,
These are tectonic plate moving moves they're making right now. And again,
yes.
they are smart enough to realize that we've got 10 years to make a play here.
Hmm.
AEW doesn't. AEW has to go week to week, and they
Yeah,
probably have a year of runway now,
sure.
right? But WWE has many. They're not just going to lose all their fans overnight,
Right,
right? Like look, if they were, this Vince McMahon thing would have done that.
right.
But I think that you as a wrestling fan, I'll throw the question back to you. You as a wrestling fan, a massive wrestling fan, you see these changes. You're going to stick around most likely. Like
Yeah.
I'm asking you, you'll probably stick around and see what happens. I mean, they probably got you for another year here at minimum,
Oh, for sure. I mean,
right?
here's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm knocking the Cody storyline, but there's
Right.
so many other
Other,
good
right,
storylines going on
right.
in WWE right now that I'm I can live with it. I'm just particularly knocking what will be surely one of at least will be one of the main events of the two nights of WrestleMania this year. And I just kind of was just like, I'm like, meh, I really don't. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying. I just
yeah.
don't care too much
It's
about the Cody story.
you,
But a
yeah.
lot of other stories are going very, very well.
Right. And you will begin to care. And like I said, there's so much intrigue about what's going on that it's going to keep you around. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And like I've actually
absolutely.
been thinking about getting my son into wrestling, believe it or not, both for him and for me. But like I'm kind of waiting for the right moment.
Yeah.
And I don't think right before WrestleMania is probably not the right moment. Um, y- you know, just for lots of different reasons. But we'll see what
Sure.
happens. I'm kind of looking forward to it. He seems to take a liking to UFC because I want to watch that. I'm like, let's watch WWE.
Well, to be fair, I was gonna say that, but also to
Yeah.
be fair, this might be a good time because
Yeah.
WrestleMania is in Philadelphia this year.
I was thinking about it. I know, but it's like he's not gonna have any idea what's going on. But he might fall in love with it too much, and I'm gonna end up with a professional wrestler in the house, and like that's the end of my back. And I need my body to work. So anyway, interesting to see where they go from here. I do agree with you that whenever I talk to anybody about it, like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, yeah,
So we'll see where it goes.
for sure, absolutely. You know what? Moving on now from wrestling and further deeper. That was into our geek section. Wrestling is like both geek.
Wait,
and
we're going to
sport.
geek now.
We are going full on into geek now. Yes,
It's time for a transition.
Back in town, traded the van for it straight up. I can get 70 miles to the gallon on this hog.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
And we're back. Welcome back. Thank you. Now we have transformed into the geeks
yes,
who like sports.
yes. You're talking about we're talking about moving on and whatnot, and the WWE moving up and all that other stuff. You know what's you're not going to be moving on, or at least not moving too much around.
It's a good transition. Yeah.
This is phenomenal, phenomenal technology from Disney. I want to make sure that I get its name right.
It's going to change 10 times before they release it, but yes.
So Disney has unveiled at least a prototype of what they are calling the HoloTile floor. And for those of you who don't know, it is about a 3x3, basically like a mat on your floor.
Yeah.
And you walk on it, but you actually don't move. Imagine almost like it's kind of like a treadmill.
Yeah.
But it's just a thin piece of carpeting on your floor, and you can kind of just move around and slide around on it. This, folks, is going to revolutionize VR and AR gaming and anything that you want to really interact with in your home. I'm bringing it up also because Lee now has a Meta Quest 3, and it is going to really, and I have a PSVR 2. It is going to make it so much easier to do that, because especially like, one of the hardest things, actually, I think I sent Lee a TikTok of a lady wearing a VR headset for the first time, and she freaked out and she ran into a wall.
She did, right into the wall. It was amazing.
Yes. That will not happen with the HoloTile.
No, you'll just keep running.
Yes, because people
running to nowhere.
Well, and that's the thing is that people who aren't familiar with VR, your natural instinct is typically, oh my gosh, I'm in a whole new space, and you think that when you move your body, you'll move in. There's that disconnect. Now with the HoloTile floor, the innovators at Disney, you can probably actually start to incorporate this, and we are now one step closer to Ready Player One. Lee, What are your thoughts on the HoloTile?
Well, look, leave it to Disney to be the ones who invent something like this, which is amazing, right? Second of all, I can tell you from using the Meta Quest that they've done a great job now of making you understand the barrier that you're there. In fact, if you start moving towards a wall or towards an object, the Quest is very much like you are about to hit something.
Yeah.
Actually, the way it works now with the cameras in the front way, this is really cool, is like a grid will appear.
Yeah.
And then as you get closer, it gets more defined. And then a portal will open in the grid and actually show you like where you are in the room.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually, you'll be walking, all of a sudden, like this window will open. And it's like, oh, you're next to your wall. You might want to slow down.
Yeah.
So they've done a lot of precautionary things to make you not run into the walls nowadays.
Yes.
But no, look, this Ready Player One thing, people are so far in the future. It's not. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's the idea that I could be in one spot and really exercising or doing a game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the Oasis is going to happen, and you better be ready for it.
Yep. We are getting closer every day, folks. And yeah, I mean, and look, Disney's always obviously been at the forefront of technology. I remember I went to Disney Innovations now 26 years ago and got my first experience in VR.
Yeah.
And they were doing it then. It was very simple, very polygony, but very polygonal. But no surprise.
I've been using I am blown away by the immersiveness of VR now. It is so good compared to what we had as kids or didn't have his kids, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with this. Even things too, like just, augmented reality in VR is an amazing experience too, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't know these terms, you can look them up, but this is something that's coming for the future. And Ray, I might this year just check out. I noticed that there's a season ticket stuff in there for different sports.
Yeah.
I might check that. Like maybe they'll give a free game or something like that where I could go sit at an NBA court or a baseball game, because I'd really love to see what it might be like to experience a game in VR, because I really do think that in the future, a lot of people will be experiencing events on their headsets.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whether it's in-person dating or just like, I want to go to the Los Angeles Kings game in Philadelphia tonight.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever beat actually being there,
Sure.
but there might be a cool experience to like sit at the red line and
Yes.
just, you see me in my room
Yeah.
going
Instead of watching it on television, it might be better to do it that way.
yeah, like it feels like you're there, and there's no reason you can have a virtual friend there with you,
Right.
right? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, the technology is growing by leaps and bounds in
Yeah.
exciting
This is
ways.
what my kids will use. Somebody brought up that point to
Yes.
me the other day of like, you're getting ahead on what your kids are going to be using, because in 10 years, this tech is good now. Like for
Yeah.
those of you who don't use VR, it's good now. In
Yeah.
10 years, I don't know what it's going to be, but I like that I have a clue. Like, I always
Yes.
want to stay ahead on technology, not just from
Yeah, no, you don't want to end up
general.
being like a Luddite or whatever. Like
Are you damn kids with your head glasses?
Exactly. You don't want to be old
You-
man shaking his fist at the
Yeah,
cloud.
we only
Yeah.
had Halo when I was your age.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you're playing
You all talk about the cloud. The only cloud I know is the white
in
puppy
the
stuff
sky.
outside.
Yes, we had cords with our devices. I don't know why we have a transatlantic accent when we do the old people voice, but we do. You don't even have,
Because
that's like a baby's toy.
because that's how they would do it back then. Because they
Oh
tried to.
yes, that's. I hope that when you and I are old, we walk around going, you get over here. Why are you talking like that? This is my voice.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It is now that I'm 87 years old, and it's now we're closer to the year 2100 than 2000. Let me tell you about Y2K and
Oh my
Y2J.
gosh.
Back in the 24 Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh
Born in the
man.
1900s, the late 1900s.
Yes, but yeah, I know. They're calling the 1900s now.
Well, hey,
Oh
look,
my
to be
God.
fair to the kids who say that, we are about a quarter into the century.
No, that's true. That's
They're
the
not
truth.
wrong.
It's the
It
truth.
just sucks to hear it.
Yeah, like we're in the 20s now.
Yeah,
The 2020s.
Yeah, we're in the we're in the mid 20s. It's not even the 20s
Yeah.
anymore. It's the mid 20s, right? Like next year is the quarter century mark. Okay, people. So relax. All right. It's also we're 2 years away from 250 years of our country's history, and it only
That's
took us
true.
that long to collapse. It's amazing.
That's true. Yeah.
That
is
I hope
also
that my
true.
joking pessimism is not real.
Yeah, me too.
Moving on.
Moving
from
on.
the moving floor.
You know what? I'm moving forward to, we talking about a lot of what ifs right now. And Marvel, this is a fun announcement. Marvel What If season 2 did so well that they have already announced that season 3 is coming.
Yeah.
So I guess that daily release schedule, at least over the holidays, really worked for them.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was brilliant. And I imagine, part of me was like, I wonder how much it costs. It's probably a lot cheaper to make this than a major motion picture. Actually, I know it is. Right. Yeah. But they probably pour a lot of money into the voice acting and the actual stars, and the animation is exquisite, but it just doesn't cost as much as a $250 million movie.
Right.
So, it's brilliant. I wasn't expecting that announcement to come so quick, but Ray, I think you had actually talked about it one week of, will there be a season 3? And I saw it and I sent it to you. I said, wow, they're going to do another season.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
They already decided in about a month.
Yeah, and they said that they are going to expand the roster kind of.
Which I am looking forward to,
Yeah, like they're kind of getting away from the original Avengers, which they did a little bit this season as well. But they're going to get into more of some of the modern people now too, which is great.
Yes. Yeah, no,
I
definitely think
I'm assuming, Ray, early prediction, note the date, January 29th, 2024, that this is actually how Loki, King of Stories, is going to be reincorporated into the MCU.
That would be great. Him interacting with the Watcher, that would be great.
They could do that. They could actually bring some live action into it with him. That's completely possible in What If, right?
Yeah.
So I think that hint at the end of the season now wasn't just a nice little like nod to him. I think that's an Easter egg of where we're heading with him, even if it's just cameo in nature. But the Watcher and Loki now coming together, this is how you could continue Loki's storyline. Because I don't think we will see him again in the films.
No,
for a long time. And if we
no,
do see him, it's going to be a momentary thing, right? I like if that's where he rests forever, that's kind of fine.
right.
But that's my early prediction is that Loki will return
Yeah,
to be a Marvel fan here in season 3 of What If.
yeah.
Please do Star Wars.
Yeah,
That's just exciting.
yeah. Yeah, we talked about that last week. So,
Yes.
yeah, so that will be fantastic. Moving on now into video games. It has been what all over the place, folks. First one, this was an interesting one. Pal World. If you haven't heard about this, it's basically a Pokemon ripoff. But it's basically Pokemon with guns. If you have not heard about this,
I have
and
heard
it
this.
is setting all kinds of records. It has also stirred the hornet's nest that is the Nintendo legal team, and they have been trying to shut down folks left and right. In terms of people who've been modding it for like to actually make it look like Pokemon. Which don't do that, folks.
Yeah, right.
And it's going to be interesting. It sounds like Nintendo at this point is not going to sue Pal World, but it is possible. There's a lot of similarities between the two. And I mean, they set all kinds of records. Like they've been smashing records on Steam. They've been having millions of players. I think they've already sold 6 million copies, for a little indie game.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is just a
It's
really
amazing.
great accomplishment for them. I think the game development costs less than $7 million, which nowadays is not a lot. They made that back and then some.
Early prediction, Ray. Note the date, January 29th, 2024. In 20 years from now, that'll be 44. the 2040s.
Yeah.
I believe gaming will be like YouTube, in which people will create their own content, and we will all there'll be people who go to the top and people who go to the bottom. But I think that might be where this is going. Because you can see it here that the indie developer like made something that worked, and people jumped on it. And it's not an original idea in any way.
No, I mean, you know what it is? It's Pokemon, but it's for Xbox.
You know what it is? It's the Matrix when Neo goes, guns, lots of guns.
Yeah.
Right? And someone saw that and went, Pika? And this is what we get. No, seriously, you're 100% right about what you just said. But it just goes to show you that people are starving for fun new things, even if they're reinventions of old things. But I'm saying that, Ray. Don't you think that the gaming industry, and look, you're going to continue the story here in a minute, which kind of supports my thoughts here. This might turn into something where it's user generated gaming. And that the public will decide kind of what we do and what we don't do. It kind of not do it, but that's kind of what Ready Player One was, right? Is you live in your own environment. So the way the gaming industry right now is so disappointing to me by their complete lack of leadership, right?
Yes.
So it's not a surprise to me, I should say, that something like this is happening. It's a view into the future. But I'll let you get into the next story here, because the gaming business side of the world is just a volcanic eruption right now. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, it's in real bad shape. But just a quick follow up on your point, also, especially now that kids are learning how to code in school, which is something we did not have growing up.
Yeah, and they're doing it well.
It's going to make it even easier for that possibility.
Sorry, I don't mean AI can develop stuff. You can just give an idea, say, make me a game that does this.
Yeah,
we're at the dawn of AI.
Yes,
20 years from now, you might be able to say, make me have Bugs Bunny fight Mickey Mouse, and it'll make it, and you can play it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're going that direction.
It will be interesting to see how this continues to develop. But good on the folks over at who made Pal World. It's gonna be interesting to see how Nintendo responds going forward. But yeah, it's an interesting win, and right now it's on PC and Xbox. And speaking of Xbox, now some of this was expected. Whenever there's a merger, there's gonna be redundancies.
Yep.
And so when Microsoft acquiring Activision, but this again feels a little bit more than just laying off the redundancies. Microsoft laid off nearly 2,000 people last week. And the layoffs have only continued across the board. A lot of folks were fired today from Embracer Group, including they announced the cancellation of a new Deus Ex game. Toys for Bob, who made like the Skylanders game back in the day, they laid off 40% of their workforce on Friday. And now over the last 13 months, over 15,000 jobs have been lost in the game industry. That's an estimate, or I should say that's that's about 15,000. I don't have the exact number, but That's a lot of jobs, folks, including yours truly, twice. It's not
I'm not laughing at
good.
you, by the way. I know you know that. I'm letting the audience know. I'm
No,
not
I know.
laughing at Ray when
It's no, yeah. I played that for comedic effect, but no, it is true though. But it's
I
also
laughed.
yes, exactly. But yeah, no, it is a real rough time right now in the game industry, and it sounds like folks who are optimistic that would end this year are now saying, oh no, this might not stop until next year,
Right.
until well into next year in 2025. In fact, I have friends who are saying, and I understand this, like a lot of us have just started to transition into our game development careers after being journalists or PR people for whatnot for a long time. And they're like, and now this is the worst possible time to be in games because there are no jobs in games to be had.
No, it's tough.
Yeah, it is a real rough go of it. And I will say, look, and some of this, about 30% of this, I would say, is a course correction from the pandemic, right? But I think that even that is maybe a generous estimate for that. A lot of this just seems to be a lot of folks. I mean, even Riot, when they laid off people last week, basically said their CEO admitted, yeah, we made some bets on some stuff that didn't really pan out, NFTs, and things like that. My guess, that is, I have no inside information on that. I need to press that. That's just my guess when they say use language of that nature. My guess is that could be one of the things they bet on that did not pay off. But it is a bad time right now in the game industry if you are trying to work in and make the games you love. So,
well, again, I think look, things like this lead to new things. Like I said, when I talk about tectonic plate shifting things on this show or volcanic shows, volcanic leads to new land and tectonic shifts lead to new continents. So much like the Earth, Ray, I think you're seeing the morphing of the gaming industry into something else. I don't know what that's going to be. All right. And again, look, with the emergence of VR and now that I've used it, like I said, things are going to change. I looked over to the corner, Ray, and I saw those soft pretzels. And I immediately thought that I'm happy that they're across the room right now because I could really go for a soft pretzel. So I did the right thing at the beginning of the show by throwing them across the room. We'll see where it goes. So. Yeah, we'll see where it goes, Ray. We'll see where it goes.
Yes. And I'm going to say this now. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think one of the teams that is going to join the unemployment line, unfortunately, are going to be the folks over at Rocksteady. Because the news gets worse and worse for the Suicide Squad game. Again, folks, we'll see what happens. The game officially is releasing this week. I am not playing it. I am not buying it. I'm not giving them my money because something that looks this terrible doesn't deserve my money. But they announced that they did not send out review codes to any of the outlets ahead of time. That is a bad sign. First off, they've also announced season passes. Those do not usually work. In the first one, by the way, the reward is the Joker Suicide Squad Joker from the, what is his name? Jared Leto, a version of him from an Elseworld, which just kind of spoils half the game. And speaking of spoiling half the game, this broke this morning for the folks who pre-ordered the game, and so they got early access to the game this week. Officially, quote from the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League official X account. We are aware that a number of players are currently experiencing an issue whereby upon logging into the game for the first time, they have full story completion. To resolve this issue, we'll be performing maintenance on the game servers. During this time, the game will be unavailable. We expect this to take several hours and we'll update once we have more information. We apologize for the inconvenience, end quote, on that tweet that came in 4:00 Pacific time. So that's noon English time. Rocksteady's based out of England. So yeah, so if you got the game early, if you pre-ordered the game, guess what? Congratulations, the game's already beaten for you. The game already got beat for you. How do you have that kind of a bug at launch for your game?
How does that even
Holy
happen?
cow!
How does it even happen?
I don't know, but this is the problem sometimes with when you do it. Like, it's an always online game. We want to just get your money with the games as a service garbage, folks. Again, I have not played the game. I will not play the game. I refuse to play the game.
Yeah, barring some magical review that nobody saw coming. Yeah, right.
Right. I just do not see how this game does well. Look, it'll sell some because you're going to have the fanboys who always forgive and always forget with Warner Brothers and DC and all that. And look, and that's fine. But I cannot see this selling the way the game, like so the Arkham games sold. I cannot see this selling to the point where, and again, this is the kind of thing where this is the first thing that Rocksteady has done in 9 years. And Warner Brothers has been real liberal with that firing axe of theirs lately, where they're just chopping everything down. This is a real bad sign for Rocksteady.
It's a bad sign. It's a bad start. You know, Ray, I just in closing with gaming, it's like, is it not clear yet? Don't rush your games. Don't go to crunch. Not ready to release. Do it right. Spend the money and do it right. Especially if you're going to take 10 years to release something, you know what's doing it right? GTA is doing it right.
Yep.
Right. Spider-Man doing it right.
Yep.
Take a note. You know, this is not cash grab. Get it out as fast as possible. It's do it right, and you'll make the money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then the sad thing is like, look, this sometimes, and this is hard, but this is something that I have learned over the years. Sometimes it might just be better to just pull the plug.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this feels like this was a game that was cursed from the second they started. And then it became a money pit.
Yeah.
And they just kept working on it and kept working on it and kept working on it because Warner Brothers was like, we want a Suicide Squad game. We want Harley Quinn. We want King Shark.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
2
blah.
years too late. 3 years too late.
Well, yes. And then the industry pivoted, as it's apt to do, away from the genre they were making, and they had to restart. And this game has never been able to, since that restart, has never been able to get its feet under it. And I fear that some really, really talented folks are going to be joining the 15,000 already unemployed because it just is a really bad look for this game. Now, look, maybe something miraculous happens, like Lee said. Again, I haven't played it. I'm only going on other secondhand accounts and whatnot from folks. I'll say this: I know folks who have played it. They said it's trash. I know you see reports like this on X where the official account is talking about broken bugs here at launch. Like, this is a terrible, terrible start. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We'll see if they recover. I love Rocksteady, obviously, for what they did for the Arkham series. I would never wish upon anybody the closure of a studio or anything like that. I do not want that. I do not want games to fail. But I just don't see how this game can succeed at this point as an analyst.
You know what can succeed? Our podcast.
Yes. You know what? They threw a lot of money, right? Hey, the Suicide Squad marketing department. You want to be a no sponsor?
Yeah, Warner Brothers. I don't want your money. You suck.
No, yeah, seriously. Yes, honestly, that'd be probably the one non-sponsor that we would probably actually pass on. So
move on.
We're really struggling right now. So, but yeah. Anyway, on that note, Lee, we did it, buddy. Another episode.
Those pretzels are just staring at me.
I know they're there waiting for you. So, folks, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna get legal. Get that snack of his from Wawa, our official non-sponsor.
Non-sponsor of Geeks Who Like Sports. Join us. Join us.
Yes. But yeah. So on that note, for Lee, I am Ray. I'm gonna go get my lunch myself. Have yourselves a great week, everybody.
Keep your eyes out for that mashup this weekend.
Yes. Lots of mashups. And until then, though. Again, for Lee, I'm Ray. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports, Season 2, Episode 16. Good night, everybody.